And so principals are looking for people who are coachable. If you're coachable, we can work with you. If you are self-reflective and you reflect on your practice and you make decisions based on data and you try to self-assess, you're going to be successful in this business. But if you one day have an administrator or somebody that's trying to give you some feedback, regardless of how, principals aren't perfect either, and neither are directors or anybody in education. You know, sometimes when you're trying to give that constructive feedback, sometimes it doesn't always come across the appropriate. But you have to stop and listen and say, maybe, I need to listen here. I know my boss, who I went to Laverne and I played football here for Ortmeyer, and one of my coaches that got me involved in Pomona, there was a couple times during my career where he came to visit me, and he would go like this. He would come and I'd be at my desk, and he would take his chair. He'd take the chair from around the table and come and sit right next to me. I knew at that point I was in trouble. I'd said something or made somebody angry or did something. But when he sat down with me and gave me constructive feedback, I listened to him. But I trusted him. And so one of the goals for principals is try to build that trust. But if you say in that interview that I'm reflective and that I'm coachable and I'll respond well to feedback, I think it comes across in the interview. People listen to that. So just as a little tip. Now, don't say it if you don't mean it. If you don't mean it and you said it in the interview and I hire you, and then all of a sudden, I tried during your first year to coach you, and you don't, then you're going to be a non-reelect in a heartbeat. Because if there's any doubt in my mind, there's no doubt that I'm not going to let you get past the probationary period. So just a little tip.
I'm going to add a little thing too. Make sure you do your homework about that school. What we want to hear is that you've spent the time and researched our school and our programs. So go on the websites, go on the district websites, go to the state, find out API scores, find out how well all demographics are doing. I know when I'm going for my assistant principal job or a principal job, which I've also had a couple of interviews I haven't got yet, so still more things, still working on that. Do the research on the whole entire school so that they know that you cared enough to do that. There's been so many people that come in and don't know anything about the school. And, well, they're not going to pass by just the first step because they didn't put their time in there too. And one biggest pet peeve, I know for Ron and I, when we sat doing interviews together, is you can research about pay and stuff on there. Don't ask about that. If you're asking how much money it's going to make, that's an easy thing. You go on the district website and look at. That's one thing that's going to put us off because it's about money and not about the kids. So that's a big no-no in my book is you ask about that.
All right. So for the teacher, I guess, which subjects in education would a job seeker have the most opportunity of being employment in? So I know, special ed was one of the top ones in math, but I don't know if those are still.
Gary, you answer that one.
I think special ed, math, and science are certainly still marketable credentials. If you do have a multiple subject credential, if you can take the CSET and qualify in another area, it's certainly going to make you more marketable. For example, many of our schools in our district were transitioning from traditional elementary schools to K-8 schools. Well, in the upper elementary and in the 7th and 8th grade, I'm looking for teachers that have the multiple subject and also, some type of supplemental support. So it allows me a little bit more flexibility when I'm building master schedules and also compliance with No Child Left Behind. So that certainly is a good example. Another area where there are tons of jobs, and right now we have 12 vacancies in our district, is the language and speech specialist. If you have a multiple subject credential and you enroll in a program, I can apply for a waiver. It's like the old emergency credential, and I can hire you right there. So that's one option for you that I think probably every district in the state of California is looking for language and speech. So that area is, you know, extremely marketable. But the traditional positions are still marketable. Science, if you are chemistry, physics, you know, we're looking for those. Now math, the math supplementals, everybody's starting to get those now. So now we're truly looking for people that have the content knowledge in, you know, in trig, calculus, and the higher level math, which you would need a full math credential, single subject to teach in that area anyway. So those are really the most marketable areas.
Next question, are there certain times of the year where districts are doing more hiring than others?
Go ahead, Derek.
You guys know the answer to this. There's going to be two different answers here. It's when these guys really want someone and when districts can hire. I think it just depends on the district. Traditionally, like in our district, we offer an early retirement incentive in our contract if you declare early. And the purpose of that is, number one, to try to find out what my needs are going to be going into the spring, because I'd like to try to do my recruitment early on versus waiting till the summer and then the pool not being as rich. I think right now a lot of districts are very nervous because the revenue limit, school services is telling us to build our budget based on an assumption that you know, we would be cut $349 per kid. And there are some other rumors going on out there, and we were hopeful Governor Brown was going to pass get the special, the tax extension on the special election, but that's not going to happen now. So some people are saying that they could deficit the revenue limit up to $825. Now, if they do that, that's going to pretty much do every district in at the state, and so you're going to be seeing a lot of districts that'll probably be doing summer layoffs for the first time. We built our layoffs into our assumptions this year. We did a resolution and just actually finished the teacher hearings last week. We laid off 272.5 teachers. Majority of those teachers were elementary because we don't know what the state's going to do with class size reduction. They may eliminate class size reduction. You know, it just also it depends on you know, it depends on some districts maybe offering big incentives to get people to retire. We offered some last year. We offered $65,000 to people that if they met a certain criteria, then they could retire. And we had about over 100 teachers go out. And it allowed me to bring back almost everybody back off the layoff list that I had. We brought back everybody except for 3 people. And a lot of districts are also writing grants right now, trying to supplement ways to provide intervention for students and counseling programs, and they're trying to write grants for that. And if they are funded those grants, then you know it would provide opportunities to hire people as well. So you know it really depends on the district. But traditionally, the time to hire teachers was during the springtime. I mean, right now, you know, we would go out and how many of you guys have been to job fairs lately? Okay, is there very many school districts attending them? Are they just, I can remember 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, they were just packed, you know, so it's tough right now, so it really depends on the district and what their hiring needs are going to be.
I remember 4 years ago at a job fair that I was running for the district, and we had one elementary job open, and there was a line around the whole entire room waiting for people just to come speak. And it's just, that's how competitive it is. When you're taking resumes and doing a quick 2-minute greet to meet you to pass the names on to the director to set up interviews. And now they're not even showing, district's not even going anymore.